The first rays of morning sunlight stretched across the quiet streets of Istanbul as Barış Arduç stepped into a peaceful neighborhood cafe. He had chosen the place because it was simple, calm, and hidden from the busy city. A warm cup of coffee and a few pages of his favorite novel were all he had planned for the day. Just as he settled into a corner seat, the cafe door opened softly. Elçin Sangu walked in, carrying a notebook filled with colorful sketches and handwritten ideas. She smiled politely at the staff before looking around for an empty table. Every seat was occupied except the one beside Barış. "May I sit here?" she asked with a gentle smile. "Of course," Barış replied. For a few minutes, neither of them spoke. The quiet atmosphere was comfortable rather than awkward. Soft music played in the background while the smell of fresh coffee filled the room. Elçin noticed the novel on Barış's table. "That's one of my favorite books," she said. Barış looked up with surprise. "Really? I didn't expect someone else to recognize it so quickly." "It has a beautiful message," Elçin answered. "Sometimes the simplest stories leave the deepest memories." Barış smiled. "I couldn't agree more." Their conversation continued naturally. They talked about books, films, music, photography, and the beauty of traveling without making detailed plans. Every topic seemed to connect them a little more. Hours passed without either of them realizing it. When they finally stood to leave, light rain had begun to fall outside. Barış opened his umbrella. "If you're walking the same direction, we can share." Elçin laughed softly. "That sounds like a scene from a romantic movie. Maybe real life likes simple scenes too." They walked together along the quiet streets while the rain created tiny silver circles on the pavement. Instead of rushing, they slowed their steps, enjoying the peaceful weather. A small flower shop caught Elçin's attention. She paused to admire the colorful roses and white lilies displayed outside. "They're beautiful," she whispered. The elderly florist smiled warmly. "Flowers always brighten someone's day." Barış looked at a single white daisy. "I think simple flowers are the most meaningful." Elçin nodded. "They don't try to impress anyone. They're beautiful just by being themselves." The florist handed each of them a fresh daisy. "A little gift," he said. Both thanked him sincerely before continuing their walk. The rain stopped just as they reached a nearby park. Children laughed while feeding ducks by the lake. Families enjoyed quiet conversations beneath large green trees. The peaceful atmosphere encouraged them to stay a little longer. They sat on a wooden bench overlooking the water. "If you could travel anywhere tomorrow," Barış asked, "where would you go?" Elçin thought carefully. "A quiet seaside village. Somewhere with no schedule, no noise, and beautiful sunsets." Barış smiled. "I was about to say exactly the same place." She laughed. "Either we're very predictable or we simply enjoy the same things." "Maybe both." A gentle breeze moved across the lake. The afternoon sunlight slowly returned, painting golden reflections on the water. They continued sharing stories from their childhood. Barış spoke about learning patience through everyday experiences. Elçin described how drawing landscapes had always helped her express emotions without speaking. Their conversations felt effortless. Neither tried to impress the other. Instead, they simply listened. As evening approached, the park lights turned on one by one. The city became brighter while the sky slowly transformed into shades of orange and pink. "I'm glad I came to that cafe today," Barış admitted. "So am I," Elçin replied. "Funny how ordinary mornings sometimes become unforgettable." She smiled warmly. The best memories usually arrive without an invitation. Before leaving, they exchanged phone numbers. "No pressure," Elçin said playfully. "Just two people who enjoy good conversations." Barış laughed. "I think that's already a great beginning." Over the next few days, their messages remained simple but thoughtful. Instead of long conversations, they shared photos of sunsets, favorite songs, interesting book quotes, and peaceful places around Istanbul. Every message felt genuine. One weekend, they decided to meet again. This time, they visited a local art gallery. They wandered through every room, discussing paintings and photography. Sometimes they agreed. Sometimes they had completely different opinions. Yet every disagreement became another enjoyable conversation. Later, they found a small bakery nearby. Fresh pastries had just come out of the oven. The owner greeted everyone with cheerful energy. "What would you recommend?" Barış asked. "The cinnamon rolls," the owner answered immediately. "They make people smile." Elçin laughed. "Then we definitely have to try them." They ordered 2 cinnamon rolls and tea. The owner's prediction turned out to be correct. One bite was enough to make both of them smile. "This might be the happiest bakery in Istanbul," Elçin joked. "I think happiness is contagious here," Barış replied. As the evening ended, they walked toward the waterfront. Small boats floated gently across the calm sea. The cool breeze carried the distant sound of music from a nearby street performer. Without planning it, they stopped to listen. The musician played a peaceful melody that perfectly matched the sunset. For several quiet minutes, neither of them spoke. Sometimes silence expressed more than words ever could. When the music ended, Barış turned toward Elçin. "You know what? I think today became another memory I'll never forget." Elçin looked toward the glowing horizon before smiling. "I was thinking exactly the same thing." They continued walking beneath the evening sky, carrying nothing more than simple conversations, shared laughter, and the quiet feeling that something beautiful was beginning, one gentle moment at a time. A few days after their walk by the waterfront, Barış sent Elçin a short message. "There's a small book fair in the city this weekend. Would you like to go together?" Her reply arrived only a few minutes later. "I'd love to." Saturday morning welcomed them with bright sunshine and a cool breeze. The book fair was already full of visitors browsing colorful shelves and chatting with local authors. The cheerful atmosphere made every corner feel inviting. As soon as they entered, Elçin paused in front of a table filled with classic novels. "I could spend the whole day here," she said with a smile. Barış laughed. "I had a feeling you would." They wandered from one booth to another, sharing recommendations and reading interesting passages aloud. Whenever one of them found a favorite book, the other listened with genuine curiosity. Near the center of the fair, an elderly writer was signing copies of his latest novel. The line was long, but neither of them seemed to mind waiting. "The best things usually take a little patience," Barış said. Elçin nodded. "And good company makes the waiting feel shorter." Hours passed quickly. Before leaving, they each bought a book and decided to exchange them. "This way," Elçin said, "we'll discover stories through each other's eyes." "I like that idea," Barış replied. Outside the fair, they noticed a street musician playing a gentle melody on an acoustic guitar. Children danced nearby while families gathered to listen. Without saying a word, they stopped and enjoyed the performance. When the song ended, the crowd applauded warmly. Music, they realized, had a wonderful way of bringing strangers together. Later that afternoon, they walked through a nearby park lined with tall trees. Autumn leaves drifted gently through the air, creating a golden carpet along the paths. Elçin picked up a bright orange leaf. "Nature creates the most beautiful colors." Barış smiled. "And it never repeats the same design twice." As they continued walking, they came across a small photography exhibition set up outdoors. Local photographers had displayed images of landscapes, city streets, and everyday life. One photograph caught Elçin's attention. It showed an elderly couple sitting quietly on a bench, smiling as they watched the sunset. There aren't any grand gestures, she said softly. Just two people enjoying the moment. Boris looked at the photograph. Sometimes that's all happiness needs. They spent nearly an hour exploring every picture, discussing the emotions behind each image. By evening, they found a quiet cafe overlooking the Bosphorus. The windows reflected the golden colors of sunset as boats moved peacefully across the water. They ordered tea and shared a slice of cake. So, Boris asked, "What's one dream you've never stopped believing in?" Elçin thought for a moment. "I want to keep creating things that make people smile." He nodded. "That's a beautiful dream. What about you?" "I hope that no matter how busy life becomes, I never lose the ability to appreciate simple moments." She smiled warmly. "I think you're already doing that." The conversation continued naturally. They spoke about kindness, gratitude, favorite childhood memories, and places they hoped to visit one day. Neither noticed how quickly the evening passed. When they finally left the cafe, the city lights shimmered across the water. The cool evening air felt peaceful. As they walked toward the ferry terminal, they noticed a young boy struggling to carry several boxes for his family's small shop. Without hesitation, Boris stepped forward. "May I help?" The boy smiled gratefully. Together, Boris and Elçin carried the boxes to the nearby store. The shop owner thanked them with sincere appreciation. "You've made our evening much easier." "It was our pleasure," Elçin replied. After leaving the shop, Boris looked at her. "You didn't even hesitate." She smiled. "Helping someone always feels like time well spent." "I couldn't agree more." Their friendship continued to grow through moments just like that, simple, thoughtful, and genuine. The following weekend, Elçin invited Boris to visit a botanical garden she had always wanted to explore. The garden was filled with colorful flowers, peaceful walking paths, and quiet ponds surrounded by blooming plants. Butterflies floated gracefully from flower to flower. Every corner seemed more beautiful than the last. "This place feels like another world," Boris said. "It reminds us to slow down," Elçin replied. They spent hours exploring hidden paths and reading the names of unusual flowers. Near the center of the garden stood a small wooden bridge crossing a peaceful stream. They stopped there for a while, listening to the gentle sound of flowing water. "It's amazing," Boris said. "We've known each other for only a short time, yet every conversation feels easy." Elçin looked at the peaceful stream. "Maybe real friendship begins with simply being comfortable together." He smiled. "I think you're right." As the afternoon sun filtered through the trees, they found a quiet bench beneath a large oak tree. Boris opened the book Elçin had given him the previous week. Inside the front cover, he discovered a handwritten note. "Every beautiful story begins with one unexpected page." He looked at her with surprise. "You wrote this?" She nodded. "I thought books deserve personal memories." He carefully closed the book. "I'll always keep this." A gentle breeze carried the scent of flowers through the garden. Birds sang from nearby branches while families enjoyed peaceful picnics on the grass. The entire afternoon seemed wrapped in calm happiness. Before leaving, they visited the garden's small gift shop. Boris chose a simple bookmark decorated with pressed flowers. He handed it to Elçin. "So you'll remember today's chapter." She accepted it with a grateful smile. "I don't think I'll ever forget today." As they walked toward the exit, the setting sun painted the sky with shades of pink, gold, and soft purple. Neither hurried home. Instead, they continued walking side by side, sharing laughter, quiet conversations, and comfortable silence. For both of them, the sweetest moments weren't the grand adventures. They were the ordinary days that slowly became unforgettable memories, one smile, one conversation, and one shared step at a time.